You are now watching The Meech.
Happy Mario Day, everyone! Today is March 10th, aka Mario Day, and to celebrate, I thought it'd be really fun to take a look at Mario's classic games, not just because it's Mario Day, but because we're also still celebrating the 35th anniversary of Super Mario Bros. However, I like to celebrate even before Super Mario Bros. What I mean by this episode will be a 2-for-1 special. We'll be taking a look at the first console Mario game, Mario Bros. This was released for the Atari 2600 in 1983, and seeing this today, it seems quite surreal. Nintendo games are usually known to be exclusive to the Nintendo consoles, however, back in the 80s that wasn't the case. Before Nintendo released the NES, they would license out their properties to different companies such as Coleco and Atari, and this is one of the examples. We're going to see how the first console Mario game released in North America holds up, and we're also going to take a look at the Super Mario Bros. Trilogy on the NES Classic right here. This thing is really cool right here. It's one of the few plug-and-plays that is actually amazing, and as you can see with this design, it looks like a mini NES. It also outputs to HDMI, which is really good if you want to play this on a modern TV. I wish Nintendo still made these because these are really cool to have and a great way to play the classics. So what are we going to do today? We're going to start off with Mario Brothers, and then take a look at the Super Mario Brothers trilogy, see how they hold up, and overall, if I would recommend them or not. This is Mario Brothers on the Atari 2600. Released in 1983, this was actually the best-selling game of that year. Kinda surprising since Mario Brothers was only a modest success in arcades, but the commercial for Mario Brothers on the Atari was amazing, so I'm sure it got a lot of people excited for the game. If you've never seen that commercial, definitely check it out. Might be a bit cheesy by today's standards, but that's what made the commercial so much fun. But how is the game actually like? Time to find out. Well, this definitely is Mario Brothers. As you can see, it looks very crude. If you don't know anything about the Atari, it was released in 1977 and was the first gaming console to become really popular to the mainstream. You had stuff like the Magnavox Odyssey and Fairchild Channel F and the Pong systems before, but this is the first console that really became popular. Think how people see the Game Boy as the first handheld, or the iPhone as the first smartphone, even though there were ones before it. But, you know, this is still Mario Brothers. It definitely doesn't look as good as the arcade version, but at least it kept the detail of Mario having a blue hat. They didn't do that for the NES version. But, presentation? Yeah, this is definitely Atari alright. Now when it comes to the game, it looks pretty much the same. It's like Mario Brothers, but on the Atari. But there are some differences. For one, it is simplified a bit. That means there won't be as many enemies on screen as the arcade version or even the NES one. For example, there are usually only 2 enemies on screen at a time, which is unfortunate because one of the most fun things to do in Mario Brothers was get some killer combos. Another thing, the fireballs don't move in a zigzag pattern, but move straight. But you know what? This is still a perfectly acceptable way to play Mario Brothers. I've seen lists ranking the worst Mario games and including this one, but I really don't see it. It's still a fun time to be had. I'd much rather play this over Paper Mario Sticker Star, and it's a really fun game on the Atari. A lot of Atari games get boring after 30 seconds, but this one is an exception. Also right here, we can see that Mario's collecting blue coins many years before Mario Sunshine, and what I like about these blue coins is they're fairly easy to collect, which is great. You don't need a guide to collect these ones. In all honesty, they're blue because of the Atari's limitations, but you know, overall, I gotta say, this might be a crude way to play Mario Brothers, but it's fun. This is a very fun game, and it also has multiplayer with Luigi, and that is awesome. This game is way better in co-op, though. I'm playing it in single player right now. But if you want an Atari, if you're into Atari, anything like that, if you want to check out some of the games, this is one I highly recommend. It is a little bit on the expensive side, Atari-wise, going for around $10 to $15. Usually you could get most games for like $1 to $5. They're really not that expensive, but just for the novelty of having a Mario game on Atari, and this is the first console Mario game released in North America, I'd definitely say it's worth picking up for the novelty, or at least it's worth a playthrough. You can emulate this game and I don't think Atari's gonna care. So that covers it for Mario Brothers on Atari 2600, and I give this a thumbs up. I'm actually planning to do a video about Nintendo games on Atari, which I think I'll do sometime in the near future. There are other games like Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Jr., and even Popeye, and we'll see how they hold up to the arcade versions. But overall, Mario Brothers is still a great time, regardless of being on a console that's ancient. Ancient! You remember at the beginning when I said I'd go over the Super Mario Bros. Trilogy and Mario Bros. On the Atari 2600? Haha, got you there. Because we'll be taking a look at Mario Bros. On the NES. I like to go where it all started. I know Donkey Kong's the first game that had Mario in it, but this is the first game that had Mario in the title. I simply don't understand why Nintendo celebrates just the anniversary of Super Mario Bros. When it all started with Donkey Kong, and if they really wanted to count the first Mario game, Mario Bros. So let's take a look at the NES version and see how it holds up to the Atari one. Okay, do I even need to say it? This looks already much better than the Atari one. And considering Nintendo made this and it's on their own system, of course it's going to be better. But if you were stuck in 1983, you probably wouldn't be able to play this game unless you lived in Japan, because I believe it came out in 83 on the Famicom. We didn't get the NES until 1985. But if you've never played Mario Bros., as you saw with the last gameplay, the goal is to hit enemies from these platforms right here. You gotta just hit them from the bottom, and then flip them over, and run into them. It's a very good game. One of the most underrated Mario games in my opinion, because whenever you hear Mario Bros., you usually think of Super Mario Bros., at least that's what I've noticed, but this is the game I think of. This is Mario before he was Super. But despite the game being a lot better to look at, it still is nowhere near as good as the arcade version, or even the Europe re-release that I covered a few episodes back. Why is that? Well, the graphical presentation isn't the greatest. The sprites look a bit off compared to the arcade. Mario's sprite doesn't have the iconic blue hat at the time. But it still plays great. This is how Mario Bros. Should play, and if I had the choice between this and the Atari version, I would definitely choose this one right here. Now, remember the combos I was talking about earlier? Well, I'll show you that. What you could do is, actually I just botched that completely, but I think we still have time. You could run into enemies like this, and get a killer combo. Usually I'd be able to do it quite great, but this time around, unfortunately I wasn't able to, because bad timing, I guess. Timing's everything when it comes to these arcade games right here. This also introduced coins to the series, Luigi, and I know those might look like Koopas, but they're actually Shell Creepers, which are completely different enemies. So we just entered this stage right here, and we are gonna go to the next one. This is the bonus round right here. Unfortunately, Mario's not collecting blue coins this time around, but he's collecting gold coins. Not 6 golden coins. Just let's see how many there are. Alright, 8, yeah, 10 golden coins. Mario Brothers, 10 golden coins. So right here we could see that Mario Brothers on NES is actually a very good game. I would prefer to play the arcade version or the Europe re-release, but in the end of the day, this is still a really fun way to play Mario Brothers. I'm not sure if some of the footage will end up weird though, because every footage I see of Mario Brothers, like there's a little bit of flickering going on, making it look like Mario's on ice sometimes, and the sidesteppers have one eye. I call them shell creepers even though they're crabs. Yeah, I do get the enemy names confused sometimes. So let's go on to the first Mario game that Nintendo considers to be the first Mario game, and that is Super Mario Bros. You can see right here, the Super Mario Bros. Trilogy is all neatly organized right here. So we're gonna play some Super Mario Bros. You know, Nintendo offers so many ways to play this game, it's like kind of a joke to play it at this point, because we've all played Super Mario Bros., but when it comes to playing it, I'd probably say this is my favorite way to play it, or on the Super Mario Bros. Game & Watch. Because on Nintendo Switch Online, you have that weird microwave background, and also the me in the corner, which can be distracting. And before, I think, SNES Online, they had instructions how to use start and select. Like, my gosh, this is NES we're talking about. I hate when games do that, they just leave the instructions overlaid, but here, everything is quite nice. This is literally like playing Super Mario Bros. In HD. Well, not like. This is playing Super Mario Bros. In HD. So the point of the game is you go across 8 worlds trying to rescue Peach from Bowser, and that's kind of it. Now, looking at the game now, it may seem basic, but at the time, this was revolutionary. There weren't really any side-scrolling games, there were a few of them. Oddly enough, Pac-Land came out a year before in 1984, but this was the first side-scrolling game that really hit the mainstream, and it became very popular. It's the best-selling game on the NES, probably along with Duck Hunt, because there are a lot of cartridges that have Mario and Duck Hunt, and if you're lucky, World-Class Track Meet, but it's still really fun to play. With a lot of Atari games, unfortunately they've aged so poorly that they get boring very quickly, but you know, this game's still fun. I've played this probably thousands of times, and I'm sure you have too. but I really like Super Mario Bros. To this day. It has a certain charm to it, it was the first Super Mario Bros. Game, and it's still fun to play. But Nintendo, you gotta stop over-relying on Super Mario Bros. Nostalgia. The NES heyday has passed. Give us some GameCube stuff, Wii stuff, that's where the nostalgia's at now. But, think you have an idea of what Super Mario Bros. Is like. Let's go on to the weird sequel, Super Mario Bros. 2. Now if I lived in Japan, I'd be playing the Lost Levels. I'd call that my Super Mario Bros. 2. But if you lived in the US or Europe, this is the one you got right here. So Super Mario Bros. 2 is a very interesting game. For one, you can select between 4 characters. We'll play as Toad. I like Toad, he's funny. I like Toad, he's funny. Now the game is a platformer, but it deviates very far from the original Super Mario Bros. Formula. This was actually developed by Kensuke Tanabe, who is known for making modern Paper Mario games. And, you know, I gotta say, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Tanabe's work, I do love this game. In fact, I like it more than the original Super Mario Bros. As you can see with the sprites, they are much higher in detail, the gameplay is just a lot more fun, and it really isn't that different. Sure, it deviates quite far from it, but it's still a platformer, you still kill enemies, and it still has that Mario charm to it. It is very weird going back to, because a lot of stuff from Mario 2 never made it into the future, except for Shy Guys and Birdo. But, you know, I gotta say, this game gets way too much hate, at least it used to, for not being a real Mario game, but the Lost Levels, it's just pretty much a ROM hack of Super Mario Bros. But harder, and has unfair level design. This game right here is actually very fun, and we wouldn't have gotten Doki Doki Panic in the West anyway. And I'll tell you why, because it was just promoting some event in Japan for Fuji Films or something like that. Which, yeah, we probably would have never gotten it. Alright, I'm just gonna risk it here. I've played the game enough. We're just gonna go and defeat Birdo. What's really cool about this game is that there's an end-level boss in every level, which is very cool, because it's just better and more rewarding than just getting to the flagpole or the box in later games. But the throwing mechanic is so much fun in this game. I really like it. I wish it would return in another Mario or 2D Mario game, because it's remained pretty formulaic. As you can see, I botched that right there, but the good thing about Mario 2 is that once you get into a certain area, there's kind of a checkpoint, which it's very nice. A lot of NES games didn't include that. This game is mildly challenging, but I would say the Lost Levels and even Mario 3 are more difficult than this game. So as you can see with the Birdo fight right here, I made the stupid move of going too close, and I made the stupid move of throwing the egg right there. Usually I'm better at the game, but not having a good Mario 2 day today. Probably because I'm distracted, but it doesn't matter. We will defeat Birdo regardless. What's also weird is that you go in this eagle door, which I don't understand why, because it's so bizarre, but this whole game is bizarre. So let's end off the stage right here, and we are good to go. Think you know more about Mario 2? So we're gonna move on to the last game, Mario 3. This is often considered one of the best Mario games, even to this day. But let's see if it's worthy to that title, because keep in mind, it has been over 30 years since the game released. 1988 is when it released in Japan, though we'd have to wait until 1990 in the West. But let's see if Mario 3 is still one of the best Mario games. So the thing about this game is that it has a world map, which wasn't seen in previous Mario games. This became a staple of every future Mario game. Really nice to have it here. Now, looking at the game, it looks so much better than the original Super Mario Bros. Like, no contest, they actually reworked all the sprites, they didn't use anything from the first game. This is truly an impressive feat on the NES right here. But the thing I love about Mario 3 the most is the power-ups. There are so many of them, all of them are so much fun to use. Especially the raccoon suit. It gives you flight, but it's not overpowered like the Super Cape in Super Mario World, because there is a gauge where it lets you know how much, or P you have left. I think it's power, I hope it stands for power. But is Mario 3 still one of the best Mario games? I would say, if you count only the 2D games, yes, it definitely is worthy of the title being one of the best Mario games. But compared to the 3D games and some of the spin-offs, you know, I'd say, you know, there are better Mario games out there, but this is still a phenomenal game. This is the reason why NES still kind of lives on today, while Atari it's just considered ancient, because the games are still fun even 30 years later, going on 40. Mario 3 is easily the best out of the trilogy on the NES, although I do love Super Mario Bros. 2, but this game just has so many more power-ups, keeps the gameplay while also adding in some major new additions, and it's fun! That's the most important thing about a game. This is fun, it's very creative, though I feel like Nintendo's relied too much on Mario 3 making future Mario games, especially with the new Super Mario Bros. Series. Anything after the original on DS or Wii, that is, because those were actually pretty creative, more so DS. But when it comes to Mario 3, I can always just play my NES, play Mario 3, and have a good time. This game is like comfort food, you know you're in for a good time. So when it comes to looking at the games today, I would say that ranking them in order, we got Mario Bros. On the Atari 2600, then we got Mario Bros. On the NES, Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 2, and then Super Mario Bros. 3. If you're gonna play any of these games, I highly recommend them. I'm sure you played the NES games before. Mario Bros. On Atari 2600 is a novelty more than anything, but anyways guys, happy Mario Day. Hope you have a great celebration celebrating everyone's favorite plumber. Well, actually my favorite's Luigi. If you have any requests, please let me know in the comments, and keep calm and da-da on.